even chillier, down to 19 degrees there. In Lorain and Elyria, clear skies, 23 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
Each year on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, people take the time to kick off the holiday season by giving back to their favorite charities. Whether it is donating money to a cause or volunteering, Giving Tuesday is a day set to benefit the community. If you want to take part by supporting this radio station with a gift, just go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and click the green Donate button. And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron.
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:03. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio. It's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 4...
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Yeah. Woohoo!
I went on an adventure yesterday. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But that was Chris Tomlin. That's Christmas music, which we're playing here.
Yes.
Daria's out, and Lauren is in there spinning 16 more plates today.
Mm-hmm.
And you're making the live stream go a little bit.
Yes, maybe. Let me know.
Where are we streaming right now?
Working. YouTube and Facebook.
Both. Look at you.
Yes, I found the password.
Ron,
For
she can do
YouTube.
anything.
I believe so.
She was in there with a look on her face of, don't even think about talking to me right now.
Yeah,
And
she looked,
then you still did.
And I did. Yeah, I did
she
anyway.
looked very
He still did.
demertsy.
Demertsy.
You did have that look, but hey, I just wanted to be like, hi, I want to be welcoming. I want to be a Christian. I want to be kind.
Mm.
Okay.
You do this every time I run the live stream.
What? Talk to you?
Yeah, and I need a few minutes to get situated, and
I
you
didn't
still come in here.
linger. I just said hello. I didn't linger.
That is not true. You recounted a whole story from yesterday.
Oh, well, I didn't know you were really into it
Wow.
then. Yeah, I guess I did tell a story that you were part of. Okay.
No, we have to tell Ron what happened.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, we were in Josh Via's office, our station manager. And he has a standing desk.
Yes.
And he was sitting by me and there's like some chairs. He wasn't behind his desk. And for some reason, he's trying to get back to behind his desk to
And
get
there's
something.
plenty of room in front of me.
Yeah, he was trying to get back to his computer. Brian was sitting next to the desk. He decides to crawl under his desk. And he fell.
He tripped, yeah.
He fell.
He tripped on that. You know, you get the plastic thing so your chair rolls around good.
Uh-huh.
I just was like, why are you doing this? I'm 31 and I couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
And I was not blocking his way.
No,
I was like, there was plenty of room to get
No,
around
you
me.
weren't.
I don't even take up much room to begin with.
True.
Yeah, and it's just a lot.
He felt embarrassed about it the rest of the day. He kept bringing it up. Poor guy.
Oh.
He did it.
Oh my
So
gosh.
what,
Yeah,
what
it's
do you
his
want?
fault.
I mean, and we're in the radio. What does he think's going to happen?
Yeah,
We're
that's
not
the
gonna
second
talk
time
about
I've seen him fall on as an accident in
Really?
the last month. Yeah, remember
Wow.
when I was in Bonaire and he fell out of his chair into a bush
it. Yeah, that's true.
onto the sidewalk?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that story.
He has lots of
He just has a hard-
misadventures.
He has a hard time.
Yeah, his first full day here at the station.
Oh, yeah.
He had a whole misadventure with trying to get his bagels. Didn't know how, if you miss an exit on the turnpike, you have to drive to the next state basically to turn around.
Yeah, right.
And at which he finally,
You're done
he
for.
did pull off. And then he got pulled over by a state trooper
Poor thing.
because he just looked, he looked like
he
he
looked
needed
like he
help.
was struggling.
Yes. He didn't get a ticket or anything. Don't worry.
Didn't the person who pulled him over know Moody Radio?
Yes, the trooper
That's so embarrassing.
listens and looked at his jacket, and he's like, "I'm just trying to get to work, man."
Oh,
The guy was
that
like-
is so
he was like,
embarrassing.
"Do it." And then he went to check out at Panera or something at the turnpike, and the person at the counter was like, "Oh, you work at Moody Radio?" He was like, "How do you know?" And they're like, they
You're
just
wearing a
pointed at
shirt.
his jacket that said Moody Radio on it. Poor guy. And then at the women's conference, he went in the wrong bathroom.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Did you guys
no.
retell that story on air after it happened?
I'm
No.
questioning that now.
That is
I don't
so
remember
funny.
that.
You
I
don't know about that?
No. A previous manager walked into a.
Ron, you don't know this story?
I don't think I do.
I'm leaning on
Oh,
Lauren's discernment.
no.
Lauren's discernment. Red alert.
I mean, he went into the women's bathroom and then realized it was a women's bathroom
yeah.
and just locked himself in there because he got scared. He didn't want the women that came in to know that he was in there.
Oh, and then
And he has
had to
big
wait.
man feet, so he stood on the toilet.
Of course.
In his defense,
No, not
it
of
wasn't.
course. Not of course.
Well, what else would you do?
Just stay locked in. Just stay locked in there.
Yeah.
But you can see under, so you've got to step up on the toilet.
You have to. You have to step up on the toilet.
Yeah.
In his defense, it was a men's bathroom originally that was changed for the women's conference.
Yes.
It was one of those. They switch them over because
Yeah.
the ladies take, they
All
have to
the
stand in
bathrooms.
line and and all that business. So poor guy.
He does have a lot of misadventures.
Yeah, that's why him and I get along so well because I have my own.
Yeah, it's a different kind. Your misadventures are different. Yours are not in that same category.
Really? Okay, tell me more. This is fun. I like this.
Like you're not going into women's bathrooms or like falling. Or getting pulled over and people like recognizing you.
Yeah, that's true.
I think yours are more things that you do to yourself.
Yeah, I put myself in
Yes, you
awkward
put yourself
situations.
in
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Now, our previous station manager, you heard about that misadventure.
No.
Okay, so we were at a
no.
conference. It was way back in the olden days for those familiar with our friend Kathleen Zion. She was our co-host. And as a firmly seated millennial, she refuses to go to anything that is a chain anything.
Right.
Scott Cruz and I wanted coffee.
Yeah.
You'd think we'd go to, I don't know, a Starbucks.
Or
We were
Dunkin'.
or Dunkin' or somewhere like that. Now, we were up by Open Door Christian Schools in
Oberlin.
Elyria.
I think you went down to Oberlin.
We must have been Oberlin. And so, Kathleen, we were traipsing all over the place trying to find a coffee shop that was not a chain. Finally found one, went in, and of course, Kathleen and I ordered coffee, and mine was the one that ended up with a heart in it, which was embarrassing enough to begin with. It was like, really? Just because I wanted this latte, you put a heart in it? And then our station manager gets up. He decides to go. He's like, oh, he's going to go to the restroom. So we wait for a few minutes. He comes back. He goes, we're leaving. And we're like, what?
Oh, no.
We're leaving. Let's go. Okay. Like we had just finished our coffee. And it was not his fault, but he went up. It's one of those like places that has a single seat restroom.
Yeah.
It's the job of the person going in the restroom to lock the door.
Yeah.
The person in there did not.
Oh,
The
yeah.
young woman in there did not do that. And so he just like walked in and he's like,
That
sorry.
is so embarrassing.
And so he's just like, we're leaving. And we understood after that.
That
It wasn't
is
his fault.
Horrible.
If
no,
the
that's
door's
not
unlocked.
his fault. No, absolutely not.
And I don't even understand the person who's in a public restroom, a single seater, and doesn't like double check the lock.
Yeah, I triple check those things.
Like, what are you doing? You're not at home.
No, I'll lock it, take a couple steps away, and go back and check again.
And even at home, I lock the door on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, you don't need anyone walking in on you.
I got a lot of kids. There's a lot of people that
Yeah.
need to think they need to be in there, and they
right.
don't. So,
Oh, gosh, that is embarrassing. Well, text us in your most embarrassing moment. None of us shared ours, but we shared
No.
other people's.
Yes, we share all our managers.
all right, it's just about 6:15. Time for a quick break. I had my own adventure yesterday. We'll get to here in just a couple of
Ooh.
minutes. Plus, there's somebody who has thinks they've summarized the ministry of Jesus in a way you might not expect. All that around the corner.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you...
disaster yesterday. I'll tell you more about that here in just a second. But hey, the concert's coming up on Thursday, just a few days. Still time for you to get your general admission seats for Christmas with Rebecca St. James. It's coming to Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. It'll be a great time.
Yes, and if you want to go, you better hurry and get your tickets because they are disappearing.
Yeah,
I almost said flying off the shelves, but that's your analogy.
yeah. But what did I say again? They're flying like hotcakes.
Yeah, growing. Something was growing like hotcakes.
I mixed all my metaphors.
Yeah.
There's pancakes. There's temperature.
Yes, but we are not serving pancakes at the concert.
No. But you should get your tickets nonetheless. It's this Thursday, 6 p.m. It'll be great. Text concert to 440-546-2255. Concert to 440-546-2255. I thought Lauren might enjoy better than me explaining the issues I've experienced in the last, year with my eyes. Would you like to
With
take
your
us
eyes?
take us through that?
Yes. Brian can't read with his glasses on. He needs bifocals is what he needs, but he refuses. So instead, he's just constantly lifting up his glasses. Which makes you look more like a loser than just getting bifocals.
No, it's true. It's totally true. I've had a few times where my glasses hit the microphone.
Yes, it hits the microphone.
I did find a plug-in, as just for the appropriate term in Chrome,
What?
for me to, when I'm going to print something, because I'm 90, I like to print things, I can increase the font size.
Oh, good.
So I go to 120%. To reduce the number of times you laugh on the radio when I'm raising my
Multiple
glasses.
times it bonks the mic.
Well, so I decided it was time. I went yesterday for an eye exam.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
We had 2 people last month that went for an eye exam, and I have a 2-person limit in my family of paying for eye exams and glasses. So it was my turn. It was December 2nd. And I have a personal...
It was December 2nd.
So it was my turn. It's the new month. So... my personal philosophy, no offense to optometry professionals and eye care professionals, but unless I have an issue like a detached retina or glaucoma,
you don't have to say that,
or like a major eye issue, I have no loyalty to any one particular optometrist.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I feel loyal to a lot of my other doctors, but not an optometrist.
What's that about?
I don't know.
Like, I know it's hard. You have to have special skill to know if my eye's healthy and to get the right prescription. Like, I know that requires special training. But I don't care if I've never met you in my entire life. I trust that you're going to be able to figure out my prescription.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, Ron, are you the same way? Or
I've never thought about it, but I am the same.
I am the same. I don't just go willy-nilly, but I have changed optometrists several times in my life.
and no one's begging me to transfer my records.
Right.
You know, like you could change pediatricians or you change like family practice. Like, we're going to need to transfer your records from your previous physician. Oh, sure. No. Nobody asked for that yesterday. First, you ever been here before? Nope. All right, come on in.
I wonder if they can just look in your eye and they can see.
I don't know. I don't know how that whole profession works, but I decided to go to America's Best in Cortland. And it's one of those places where they tell you can get 2 pairs of glasses for like $25, but we all know that's a big lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
that
not even close
to
to
me,
true.
Like 2 years ago, and I was like, "Wait, I thought this was like $25, and it was like $200."
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not that at all. They're like, "Oh, would you like glasses that are made of Coke bottles?" Literally.
Yes.
Oh, sure, that's $25, but I mean, the rest of these are going to be about $500. So anyway,
or just the frames are $25, but the lenses, those are $300.
And we need all the filters and the things.
That's right.
And by the way, my wife has a new one. It's a yellow. Her lenses are yellow on one of her pairs of glasses.
For what? Like, what's that do?
Filtering the
blue light,
the things. I don't remember, but it says it made a big difference. It's
okay.
It's like this new thing they're trying to sell you, and we buy them online, so they're cheap.
I think it helps with filtering they call it blue light, but from a monitor,
I guess
computer screen or phone.
She says they're great. So I go in, I go to the counter, I check in, and they're like, "Hey, just so you know, today will be a virtual appointment with your physician."
How are you going to look at my eyes?
I know. I was a little like, wait.
Oh, do I have to put my eyeball on the camera?
And I was like,
of this iPad?
But I'm here.
Why did they tell you that?
Like, I'm here
in advance?
But they're not. And so I was like, okay, sure. I'm going to go with it. I'm at America's Best. It's going to be great. It's America. It's the best.
And it's the best.
And so I went in back and they
So, like, could you have not gone in?
No,
Or you,
I had to be there.
Because they had to do all, like, the puff in your eye test.
Yeah.
I see.
And so they had the technicians, forgive me for not knowing the proper terminology for the optometry assistant or professional, whatever you are. I love you all. We need you. They sat me down. One lady took me through the puff thing and all the other things. And then I waited, and then I went into the eye exam room. I actually thought this was really cool. I know some people are old fuddy-duddies with this, but I'm a cool old guy. So I go in, and there's an assistant in the room, and she is there to move all the equipment. But so I get into a queue on the TV screen in front of me where there's a group of 11 optometrists that are seeing patients all over the country. Now, the reason this happened to me was the person who was supposed to be there lives in Ashtabula County.
Oh, and it was really bad snow.
And they were snowed in. I mean, all the roads were closed. Ron reported that a few minutes ago. And so they couldn't come into work. And so I'm put into the backup plan, which is this thing, right? So the physician, comes on the TV screen. We waited for a little while and chit-chatted. A little bit longer than I wanted to, but nonetheless, nice lady. The physician comes on the screen. The lady will put the thing in front of you. If you've had your eyes checked where they go 1 or 2.
Yes.
1 or 2.
Yes.
That thing, put it in front of my face. The person.
2 or 3.
Right.
Now 2 or 4.
Better, worse. Better, worse. And so they put that thing in front of me. The physician that connected on the TV screen controlled that device.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect
interesting.
that.
How cool is that?
That is cool.
She had a controller. I was, me, I'm talking to this person asking all these questions. Had a special controller where they could do the 1 and 2, and they put in all the things and they moved the camera in front of my face. Like she goes, all right, just look at this camera. And I could see the Ethernet cable or the Cat 6 cable coming out of it. And she moved the light in front of it, but the doctor was looking.
It's very interesting.
It was cool. I was not offended by the remote thing. I was like, I get it, Ashtabula County. I'm glad the doctor is safe. And she's manipulating the thing.
That's very interesting.
It's 2024, almost 2025, Lauren. You don't need to have a doctor there. I can be in person. They can be virtual. See? And a super nice young lady that probably could be my child or something was the optometrist. I mean, I'm not trying to be offensive. It's just the reality of my life now.
Oh, yeah.
You get it, Ron.
Oh, yeah. It's like, when did they let junior hires become doctors?
And she was super professional and super nice, but I was still moderately offended.
That she was young?
No, at the way
Yes.
No, not that she was young. The way she handled the reality of my condition with my eyes.
What do you mean?
Okay, so I've had glasses since I was in 5th grade, but I haven't needed readers. So I brought up the primary reason I came in wasn't just, eye health check, but also I think I need to finally get progressives because I'm getting made fun of at work enough that it's tipped me over the edge. And I was like, I don't know if I need this or not. And she was like, well, you could take off your glasses if you want. But essentially she goes, at your age, this is just kind of, it's kind of the deal. And you're at the very beginning of this and it continues until age 65. When your reading ability without glasses deteriorates for apparently a 20-year period.
Oh, great.
That I've just kind of
to know.
slid into. She's just basically, well, I mean, you're old. So I was like, excuse me.
Well, she didn't say it like that.
I mean, she didn't, but it's kind of like a person in the South going, oh, bless your heart.
Right.
We know what you mean. You mean, I don't like you and you're rude.
Yeah, it means you idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, well, this is just kind of what happens, which means you're getting old, Brian. Deal with it.
It's true. Age happens.
Well, maybe it just took someone else other than the three of us telling you.
No, it took you all razzing me. You all. No, Ron has never given me a hard time about
No,
this.
because I do the same thing.
Not once. Lauren and Daria have
Yes.
hassled me long enough that it was time for me to do this. So now I have the next problem, which is picking out glasses. I will not buy them in a store anymore because I just think they're price gouging.
Yeah.
And so I'm on my Zenni Optical, and I got to decide if I'm going to change styles or not.
Does Zenni Optical, do they give you ones that you can try on?
Yeah,
Like they
but
send you fake ones?
no, that's who
Warby
does
Parker.
that? Warby Parker.
I was wondering
yeah.
if Zenni does the same thing.
I've tried that, and I'm not a big fan of that business. I don't like how that works. I don't like their
Why?
options, and they're expensive.
You don't What do you don't like their options? You don't. It's not that you don't like that they give you some to try on.
Yeah, I didn't like the options, and then it was expensive after that. Like you can.
Yeah.
It's like Zenni is the poor man's
Yes, it is.
glasses, and that's what I want.
Okay.
But they don't even all the virtual try-on bit. But I don't know. Like these same frames, I've ordered them 2 separate times.
Try some new ones.
I was like, I asked my wife, I'm like, have I locked myself into this look now?
No.
Or do I need to change? She was almost like, you have to change now, or you are locked into the look.
Yes, she's exactly right. Eddie had some that looked just like yours, and he's started to change them up over the last 5 years.
But I can hardly pick out what I'm going to wear for clothes. How am I going to make this decision? I was actually thinking
just
about
do it
making you
once.
look at the ones I've
Okay, I'll look at
selected.
them.
And you'll tell me your opinion?
Is that a concern for you that I won't tell you my opinion?
Well, I mean, you never know.
When has that ever happened?
I was actually, I sent like 5 different looks. I put on frames at the store
Yeah.
and sent selfies to my daughters. So my son's just, I'm not going to listen to them on this. I don't know.
No.
Can't explain it, but I'm just not listening to them. And my daughters, like, I thought one was like kind of cool. And they were like, I like them all, but I hate that one. The one that I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I going to do here?
My dad does this. He'll send us pictures from the eyewear shop of all the different options to the family group chat, and we got to pick.
And then so I asked one of my sons about, I was like, well, your sisters didn't like this one. He goes, yeah, the serial killer glasses. Excuse me? He's like, yeah, all the serial killers have those.
Oh, I know exactly what they are.
I'm like, excuse me?
Show me the picture. I know exactly what they are. I know what they're talking about.
I was offended by that. It's like, well, why do serial killers get to take an entire category of glasses away from me?
Right.
And why did they all get together and they chat about this?
Well, I think they take away the category for a lot of people unless you're like a super hipster, and then it like is okay.
Yeah,
You know?
I knew you would say that. And so what you're saying is
Not you.
I'm not super hipster.
No.
But I got to kind of be cool for the people on the YouTube, right?
I don't think anyone says that.
No one says that I need to do that because it's hopeless. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, exactly. I knew it. Okay, well,
I looked up serial killer
Yes.
glasses, and it came up, why do so many serial killers have the same
That's
glasses?
exactly right. Yep.
and it's
It
like
is
they're
a thing.
a little bit larger in their wire frames, right?
Yes.
And they're like aviators with regular
Yes,
lenses.
yes. Aviators with regular lenses. That's exactly
And I
right.
can't do that, you're saying?
No.
Unless you
I
want to
have,
be a
I
serial
have
killer.
wire framed glasses, but they're round.
I know, but everyone tells me I can't do round
Oh,
Wow.
because I have a face that doesn't do
Sure.
the round glasses.
yeah.
So it's a stress. I haven't ordered. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, show me and Ron the pictures. We'll choose for you.
Somebody texted, no contact lenses, Brian? No. I did
You
that.
tried?
As soon as I got married, I was done with trying hard with that. I know it sounds rude, but
My sister tried for many years, and she just could not put her finger on her eyeball.
I can do that. I can do it right now, but
No,
I
please
don't want
don't.
to spend the whole day. I have kind of dry eyes, and so I end up like winking all day, and I can
Yeah.
feel them. I'm not doing that. So thank you. All right, it's 6:33. We're up against a break here to pause for prayer. But what I'd like to do in a few minutes is there's a guy named John Tyson wrote a piece for Relevant Magazine, and he thinks he's figured out a way to summarize the entire ministry of Jesus in the Gospels. And I want us to evaluate this together.
O come, Emmanuel. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings with Brian.
How would you
Moody
summarize
Radio
the ministry of
Cleveland.
Jesus in the Gospels? We're going to hear how one guy did that here in just a moment, but don't forget, we have Christmas with Rebecca St. James coming up on Thursday at Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. Can't wait to see you there. Ron's going to be there in green glitter, kind
Yes, green and red.
of. And Lauren's going to, we don't know what she's going to do, probably black
Yeah.
and a frown.
Probably.
Just kidding. She won't have a frown. She'll be very festive and happy.
Yeah, I'm not usually frowning.
No, but you have a face that when, like me, like when you're just at rest, it appears as if you're unhappy.
Yes.
And that's not your fault. It's not mine neither. You're a very warm and approachable person.
Yeah, God made my face, so
And I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad
yeah,
at
take
him.
it up with him.
And so text concert to 440-546-2255. Also, we have Rob Fenn is coming back today on the show.
Oh, nice.
Social Security questions. We know you have them because you ask them whenever he comes on, and because none of it makes any sense, really.
Not at all.
I mean, I still don't
It's all
get it,
confusing.
and he's my friend, and I don't
I sometimes
understand
think, oh, I'm getting it.
it. No, you're
And
not.
then the next question comes and I have no idea what he's saying.
That's right. So do you have questions for Rob? You can get him in any time. You can text right now, 440-546-2255. We'll set those aside. Or just call and text between 8 and 9 this morning, and he'll answer those questions for you. Okay, so at Relevant Magazine, it's kind of a young hipster Christian website. There's a guy named John Tyson, and he wrote a summary of sorts of what he sees the gospel all about. And I want to know your reaction to this. Here's a quote from him. The entire ministry of Jesus is appropriately captured in the phrase, divine hospitality to the stranger and sinner. One more time. The entire ministry of Jesus is appropriately captured in the phrase, divine hospitality to the stranger and sinner. How do we feel about that? Lauren's thinking.
I imagine he's got more depth to the word hospitality in his thinking than what I'm thinking.
Okay, tell me more. What are you thinking?
When I think hospitality, I think like, come on in to my home and let me prepare you, coffee and cookies, or, some perhaps a meal even. Hospitality like that. Jesus' ministry was much more than, let me make you feel good, be
I see
warm
what you
and
mean.
filled.
Yeah.
It was about, we've given you the law, we being he and God and the Holy Spirit, the Trinity. We've given you the law as a school teacher. Now I am here to show you, since you can't live up to the requirements, I'm coming to bear the burden of your penalty for your sin.
Okay. So you're just kind of saying, I don't know about hospitality as the summary word.
Yeah.
Hospitality towards the stranger and the sinner.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, have you decided how you feel, or are you waiting? You can wait. It's fine.
I like the word sinner. I'm not sure I would use the word stranger, because I think a lot of times actually Jesus was calling people to love the people that were nearby that they just didn't like, not someone you don't know.
So again, it's an issue of whether or not this guy means what you think he means by the words.
Right.
Okay, so he does what we are sometimes unhappy about, sometimes happy about. He takes the Greek word for hospitality and describes it. Now, again, we don't think that the Greek language is a secret decoder ring for the Bible. But in this case, he's saying that hospitality is the word philoxenia. Philos means friend, and xenos is foreigner. So it's like you're a friend to a foreigner. Okay, and so he says Paul takes that concept then, and he says Ephesians 2 gives a great example of what he means by this and what Paul meant by it. Ephesians 2:11 and 12. Remember that formerly you who are Gentiles by birth are called uncircumcised, were separated from Christ, excluded from citizenship in Israel, and foreigners to the covenants of the promise, without hope and without God in the world. So the words in there, separate, excluded, foreigners, hopeless. So we are strangers, we are foreigners, so to speak, spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, Jesus' ministry, he's saying, is hospitality to the stranger and the sinner. So it's not just the sinner, it's the stranger. It's not just the sinner who's a Jewish person.
Right.
So it's Jesus's hospitality.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
I feel like it's okay to use a couple more words if it describes more what you're trying to say.
You're saying like the quick summary?
Yeah, it's okay to use a couple more words to really describe what you're trying to say, rather than trying to get it out in such few words that you're confusing people more.
Yeah, so like even the headline of the story is called "Loving the Stranger is the Heart of the Gospel."
Right.
And you're generally uncomfortable with that?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's in our English language, it's not descriptive enough. I understand that he's saying in the Greek it makes sense, but in English it doesn't.
Right. So publish your headline in Greek then.
Well, let me give you a couple more of his explanations and see if this changes your mind at all. He says if you were to trace the hospitality of Jesus through a gospel, you would see that hospitality wasn't one of Jesus' strategies. It was the strategy. Tim Chester, a UK pastor, outlined the theme of Luke for us. So it says Luke's gospel is full of stories of Jesus eating with people. So Luke 5, Jesus eats with tax collectors and sinners at the home of Levi. Luke 7, he's anointed at the home of Simon the Pharisee during a meal. Luke 9, Jesus feeds the 5,000. Luke 10, Jesus eats at the home of Mary and Martha. Luke 11, Jesus condemns the Pharisees and teachers of the law at a meal. Luke 14, I could keep going, but there's Zacchaeus, there's the Last Supper, blah, blah, blah. It says, in Luke's gospel, Jesus is either going to a meal, at a meal, or coming from a meal. Lauren's nodding.
Yes, and?
So therefore, his ministry is, in his mind, all about essentially hospitality towards the stranger and the sinner. Hospitality, even in the literal sense, like Ron described it. Jesus spent much of his ministry at meals welcoming foreigners and sinners. Strangers and sinners.
A lot of those meals, he was the guest. He wasn't offering hospitality. He was accepting.
He was a guest of honor.
That doesn't change that he was a guest.
Yeah. So I'm afraid he's a little too far out on the branch and it's breaking off underneath him.
Well, there's more because he actually shared a passage from the Old Testament and he talked about how this was such an important part of the law and of Jewish culture in the Old Testament to welcome foreigners and strangers, that it only serves to bolster his position. And one of the passages, I had never read it this way before. It's one of those where you kind of go, wait, when did that get in there? I want to get to that here in just a minute.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats
at 6 to 9 a.m.
Mornings with Brian and Moody Radio Cleveland.
650 WCRF, how would you summarize the ministry of Jesus in the Gospels? Well, one writer at Relevant Magazine summarized it by, loving the stranger is the heart of the gospel. And Lauren and Ron are very skeptical, or saying it's too truncated,
Yeah.
too short.
It is an important thing in Jesus' teaching. It's an important tenet of his teaching, but it's not the heart of the gospel. At least I'm not seeing that line of logic where hospitality leads you to acceptance with God.
Although I would say, I mean, if I'm thinking about the thread of the gospel in my mind, right, and I'm just going Brian's summary, much of Jesus' ministry is telling the quote-unquote in crowd that they're not the only ones and that they've got it wrong. Mm-hmm. Telling the religious people they're not getting it right and that they're being really rude and exclusionary to people that they should be loving the most, perhaps. So he's looking at the man born blind. He's the woman at the well, giving the parable of the Good Samaritan, the 10 lepers. People that were constantly excluded, mm-hmm. He sought them out. He was the one that uncomfortably built relationship with people that you typically weren't supposed to like.
True.
I think that might be what he's getting at, isn't it?
Yeah, but like Ron's saying, it's still not getting to the point of all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and now you need to put all of your sin on Christ and let him die for you.
I think what he's saying is that those actions are a physical demonstration of that idea. That
what actions?
His actions of going to the fringes of society and
mm-hmm.
the people who are the outcasts from the religious people and including them is showing that everyone has access to Jesus if mm-hmm. they want it. So it's almost like Jesus' life is, in that aspect, some sort of allegory of theology. Lauren's skeptical still. Okay, yeah. So he went on to say hospitality was a central part of the teaching of the Torah. So, for example, Exodus 22:21 says, "Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner, for you were foreigners in Egypt." And then in Leviticus 19, "When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner resides among you, who resides among you, must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I'm the Lord your God." And then the one that got me, here's the one that I read it. I was like, when did that get in there? Leviticus 19. We've heard this rule before, right? When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time or pick up the grapes that have fallen. You're supposed to do what?
Leave it for the poor who are following him around.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It says, leave them for the poor and the foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
I am the Lord your God. It's like, wait, I don't remember that part. I thought it was just an act of charity to the poor. But in Leviticus, God specifically separated the two. It's not just poor foreigners. And they're not just presuming that all the poor people are foreigners. It's making sure we understand that it's the poor and the foreigner. You're nodding, Lauren. God put a special place in Israel in the Old Testament for foreigners that we were supposed to be very kind to them.
Yeah, he does that often.
So what are we to make of that?
To be kind to the foreigner and to make place for them.
Like
to be welcoming.
To who? Like so
to the foreigner?
But if I'm going to translate that to today's society, what does that look like? Because I think this guy's trying to say, you can see he's building a case for saying Christians have to have a radical view of what hospitality is. And it's not just for one another in the church. It's like we're supposed to be radically hospitable to people on the fringes of society, regardless of who they are or what their status is.
Yes.
You agree with that idea?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
the least of these.
How are we doing that as a church? Are we doing a good job?
Sometimes. Depends on which type of the least of these.
What do you mean by that?
I think we like to pick and choose which of the least of these we want to be nice to.
Why is that, you think? I mean, because I think it's true, right? If someone is divorced, okay, well, we love them. And I'm not saying you're least of these if you're divorced. I'm just saying, but if you're homosexual, boy, you better get out of here. We don't want to talk to you.
because we have decided that certain places in society or types of people or types of sin are more worthy of our love and care than the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this guy concludes by saying absolute hospitality is the call of the church. Like the church itself is supposed to be kind of a reiteration of that concept from the Old Testament, that we are to be like radically welcoming and generous. And he goes on to say that he learned something about this from Tim Keller, of all people. He's apparently a pastor in New York City. Mm-hmm. He said, I've lived in New York for 15 years, and during this time, my understanding of the city has drastically changed. During my first years in the city, Tim Keller said to me, quote, many Christians move to the city because they think the city needs them, but they don't know they actually need the city.
Okay.
That's a very Tim Keller quote, because you go, I wonder if I agree with that. And he goes on and he says, I have found this to be so true. The diversity of the city, socially, politically, culturally, socioeconomically, and racially, has confronted so many stereotypes and prejudices in my heart that I don't even know existed. Over the years, my posture has changed from seeking to reach the city and change it to loving the city to serve it.
Good.
And whether or not we like his summary, I think he's getting at a heart disposition.
Yes.
Like he almost had the savior complex in New York. Like, boy, this New York needs me. Let's go in there and save it. Turns out he needed the city of New York to show him how broken he is and how really what his job is as a believer is to love people and serve them. And I think a lot of us in today's society, particularly with the way we've created echo chambers, I think we've forgotten about this. We're repulsed by who's different, and we have surrounded ourselves by people who are the same.
Yes.
And that's maybe why he did something that's so clickbaity in saying the heart, or loving the stranger is the heart of the gospel. Do you like it better now that you know more of his thoughts on this, or do you still not like the concept?
I don't know if I would say hospitality to the stranger and sinner is the whole of the gospel.
Yeah, that's probably a bridge too far.
Mm-hmm.
What would be better if you were to coach him in rewriting this, if he handed it to you and said, edit this for me? Maybe it would be the heart of the Christian is love for the stranger.
I mean, it's the heart of Jesus too, but that's because like Christians are supposed to have that heart because Jesus already has it.
Right, and he radically displayed it in his life.
I would say that a chief characteristic of Jesus is that he displays hospitality to all people, no matter who they are.
Yeah, I'm not going to click on that though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But
loving the stranger is the heart of Jesus would be more accurate.
Yeah.
you like that, Lauren?
The heart
Yeah.
of the gospel
The heart of the gospel is like a little different.
doesn't work.
I don't know if
Because
it works for me.
Because you're saying that when you say the word gospel, what you're speaking to is the deep theology of what the gospel is and what it means to be saved,
Yes.
as opposed to the character of Jesus and how we are to reflect the character of Jesus, not how we're to be saved.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if we're to take that concept then, how are we doing to radically represent that character quality of Jesus as a church today?
Some churches are doing really well. Most are struggling to meet that kind of a bar.
I would say that's true, and I would say they don't know that they're struggling.
That's probably true too.
I would venture to guess a lot of them think like the Pharisees, that they have it figured out, and if everybody else would just be like them and follow their rules, that we'd all be Christians again here in this country or something. I don't know what they're looking for. But it's going to be, it's a hard thing to have a radical, hospitable love to the stranger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that at all. And I think it's something where we can all grow in. And by the way, this exercise we went through is something we should all do whenever we look at any commentary in any news source. Don't just say, ooh, I like Relevant Magazine. I probably like what this person says. No, we have to have a critical eye. And Ron and Lauren say, as far as I can summarize it, nice guy, nice try. Your summary wasn't that great.
Right.
Or you tried too hard to make it short and cute when it's okay to add more words if it's a better descriptor.
There it is. 7:01, it's time for Ron's News and today's Moron Moment. And in a couple of minutes, there's somebody who wants to defend Christmas consumerism. They're mad at you if you are worried about consumerism.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President-elect Trump is warning Hamas to release the October 7th hostages. It's 7:01. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. In a new post, Trump warns that there will be all hell to pay if they are not released immediately before he assumes office on January 20th, 2025. The White House is working hard to secure a ceasefire deal in Gaza in the hopes of stopping the fighting between Israel and Hamas. The cost to use the Ohio Turnpike is going up next year. For Easy Pass customers, passenger car toll rates are increasing from 6.5 cents per mile to 7.1, and for those using cash or card to pay, passenger vehicle rates will go up from 9.6 to 10.4 cents per mile. The price change takes effect January 1st. And a new hotel, well, actually a few new hotels and restaurants will soon be built near Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. A local development group says it is working on plans to build 2 new hotels and 2 new restaurants on about 10 acres of land between the Orbit Hotel and the Aviator Restaurant. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Jobe, president of the Moody Bible Institute. I've also been a pastor for decades. On Bold Steps, my goal is to lead you on a path of authenticity in your walk with God. I desire to do that with Bible teaching that is clear, practical, and pushes people to take bold steps in their relationship with Christ. You can hear Bold Steps weekdays at noon and Sunday evenings at 7 here on Moody Radio Cleveland.
In sports, the Browns fell to the Broncos in a 41-32 shootout on Monday Night Football. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny this morning, then becoming mostly cloudy. There is a chance of more snow yet in the snow belt. High temperatures might reach the lower 30s today. At last check, we did have mostly cloudy skies, 24 degrees in Cleveland, 22 Akron and Canton, cloudy and 31 in Ashtabula.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
Every year on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, people take the time to kick off the holiday season by giving back to their favorite charities. Whether it's donating money to a cause or volunteering, Giving Tuesday is a day set to benefit the community. If you want to take part by supporting this radio station with a gift, just go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and click the green Donate button. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:04 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ronnie.
709 Moody Radio, Cleveland. Christmas and consumerism raises a lot of hackles.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have hackles?
If you were Mary, you'd have shackles and you would shake them off.
Aren't they kind of like jowls, the hackle?
No, they're like on the back of a cat or a dog, like right on their back that like raise up. You know when they get
That's what
mad?
that is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I always
Correct me
wondered
if I'm
about-
wrong.
Well, I mean,
Chat.
it doesn't make sense that someone's jowls would be raised by something when they're upset.
No.
They'd actually be lowered when they're upset. You know.
No, the hackles is like right at their
You're
neck.
right.
I was right?
Yes.
Well.
Google agrees with you.
So I don't have hackles.
No. I hope not.
Well, I don't know. I mean, hair
When
on the
you're-
back of your neck stands up. That's a hackle.
Yeah, I
it is.
guess.
So maybe when you're upset about Christmas,
You're going to call it your hackles?
your hackles get raised? Or my
No,
hackles?
your hackles.
Yeah, they
Not my
sometimes get
hackles.
raised. You don't get upset about consumerism? Lauren, you're a Moody Bible Institute graduate.
Yes.
You're a resident Bible scholar.
That's a lot.
I know you hate that phrase, but I'm going to call it just because you hate it. It's Jesus' birthday.
Uh-huh.
If we're celebrating the Savior of the world and you're out there going shopping, that's materialism. You heathen.
I haven't even said any words. You've created a whole story
gotcha.
on me.
You made up pre-Christmas gifts in your family.
I did not make up pre-Christmas.
You love pre-Christmas
I
gifts
do love
in your family.
pre-Christmas to get me into the Christmas season.
Jesus did not get pre-Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
He got 3 gifts
Yes.
on his birth.
Yes.
And they're really for his parents, not him.
Well, yeah. Babies don't need stuff. So
So are you bothered by the consumerism of Christmas?
if I really think about it, yeah, I just don't think about it that often.
Maybe you should think about it more.
Okay.
No. Ron, what about you? I know you love Christmas. You got grandkids.
Yeah.
Grandparents love Christmas. They like spoiling their grandkids. But I mean, there's a lot of Christians out there that are frustrated that Christmas has become a consumeristic thing and not a Christian holiday. Aren't you mad? Raise your hackles.
I do get bothered by some of it, but I understand that you're not going to spend the entire month of December 24/7, 365 singing Christmas carols and reading Advent devotionals, even though Asherita Choo Choo has a great one. We live our lives, you know, we're in a constant relationship with God. We, you know, pray without ceasing, but that doesn't mean that we're always on our knees and have our hands folded.
Eyes closed.
Yeah. Especially when you're driving. If you're doing that, you're in trouble. So, yeah, the consumerism, I think it's got a point. I sent a picture to Daria. I said, this is my favorite Christmas decoration. And it is Santa Claus with his cap off, kneeling at the manger before Jesus. And to me, that's the representation. Enjoy the consumerism. Put up lights if you want. Put up a tree. Buy presents. Eat candy canes. But keep in mind, it all is subservient to the reason for the season, the birth of the Christ child.
Well, I have an article here. I'm realizing it's from Seth Rydelnik, and is that Michael's son?
I think so.
Wow.
There's another Seth, but I'm pretty sure his son's.
Well, there aren't many Rydelniks.
Right.
But he said, this is wild. I'm totally thrown off. But he said he has some friends ready to give up on Christmas.
Huh.
They groan at the first mention of cinnamon spice. They seethe at the commercialization of the Lord's birth, the secularizing of the holy day into just another holiday. It's all business, they say. Get back to the reason for the season and stop all this senseless consuming. He knows one person who's even urging his friends not to buy a single present for anyone this Christmas unless it's charity to the poor. How do we feel about that?
That is like the people who say, let's go boycott Disney and we will put them out of business for daring to make an R-rated movie or something. It's the boy trying to plug the holes in the dam with his finger and he just can't reach them all. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it's not his point. He's got friends who are
doing that.
Yes, I was going to say foolish in my humble opinion, but there, now I've said it.
Now, his assertion is that he said cynics aren't stopping any of the materialism. They're simply missing out on the fun.
Yeah, I think you can. The consumerism is going to stay, like Ron is saying, whether you take part in it or not, because the consumerism is not just Christians.
Right.
It's not just the Christian people who are doing that. If it was, that would be a problem. If it was only Christians are the only ones who celebrate Christmas, then it would be a problem that it's so materialistic and we're only focusing on stuff. But it's a holiday that our culture is taking part in.
Right.
And they're not thinking necessarily about the birth of Jesus if they're not Christians. And so two things can be true at once, I think.
And I think the idea of being generous and giving gifts to people is certainly something that can be Christian.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, doing so at the cost of deep debt or something is not a Christian principle, but getting me presents, Lauren, is a very Christian thing to do.
Yes.
So I've heard of this before. This was
Christmas
at
with the Cranks, obviously.
Well, and this was the core of the Starbucks Red Cup thing.
Yeah.
And that Ron and I experienced almost 10 years ago, where we had the phone lines locked up because people were so incensed that something about Christmas from Starbucks would not be about Jesus. Christmas has to be only about Jesus. That's what it has to be about. And so where would that thinking lead? It brought me to, I like the New Living Translation for a lot of reasons, but if you look at Ecclesiastes, I love this translation of a famous passage. It says, history merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. Sometimes people say, here's something new, but actually it's old. Nothing is ever truly new. I love that. Okay, so here's the example. I don't know if you know this, but Oliver Cromwell, you ever heard of the guy?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, Lauren.
English guy.
Yes, he's British. Hello. He was a political and military hero in Great Britain. And in the 1640s, under his leadership, British Parliament banned the celebration of Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know this. The Puritan Cromwell found that the mirth-making and merriment of the holiday, Rydelnik writes, was too sacrilegious. His restrictions included a ban on minced meat pies and roast goose.
Sad.
He banned carol singing and holly. Fasting and prayer replaced all feasting and revelry. He said, bah humbug to you, Ollie. But that's where, someone who's saying this consumerism is so bad, we got to stop this. This has been done before. To that end, is that what you want? Is that what you're looking for? You're looking for us to cancel Christmas like this? Like Oliver Cromwell did it.
Yeah.
And how did that turn out? He looks like the ultimate Scrooge now. Laws banning materialism in Christmas and celebrating.
Yeah, I think, like I said, two things can be true at once. I think we should and need to observe the birth of our Savior, but you can also still have joy and find joy and fun in just other things that are happening in our culture. It's okay to go see Christmas lights and be happy about that and feel excited and go walk around outside with hot chocolate with your kids. I don't know. It's okay to find joy and delight in things.
Well, I mean, why shouldn't I go down Main Street in Garrettsville, Ohio, where they have beautiful Christmas lights up everywhere? It's gorgeous. I love small towns at Christmas time because they put up lights everywhere and everything. Mm-hmm. Hey, you people, it's about Jesus. You better get that right. They got a Santa sleigh in a big open area in Main Street. Mm-hmm. Should I yell at them?
No.
It's about Jesus. Knock it off. Why not? It is. It's Jesus' birthday. They're ruining it.
It's the same kind of argument as the street evangelist that you picture. He's got his little podium he brings out with him, and he's got a megaphone and some amplification system, and he's just shouting at people. He's not there to engage with them. He's just one way shouting, you're going to hell and you're going to hell and the Bible says this and that. You're not going reach really probably not anybody that way. I mean, sure, there's a potential on the off chance somebody might hear you and the word would settle with them. The way to do that, if you want people to celebrate Jesus more, is to convince them of that in a gentle manner, not pushing them away, but, have your conversation with them and say, does it ever make you uncomfortable, all the Santa and reindeers and trees and presents and hot chocolate around this time of year? And instead of people emphasizing prayer and fasting, and see if you win any converts.
Yeah, you said it so gently, but that's still so gross.
Yeah.
It's go therefore and ruin everyone's fun. I mean, come on. I'm with Seth Rydelnik, and I know you feel this way. You were fairly representing people, but he said the cynics aren't stopping any of the materialism. They're simply missing out on the fun. And I would say they're trying to ruin other people's fun. Christians, knock it off. Be people of joy. Give gifts. Smile and be happy that there's lights up. Don't get mad about Santa Claus and reindeer. Go like, oh, isn't that beautiful and sweet? And if somebody wants to talk about Jesus, do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can find delight in that God made seasons, that it's cold, that there's a changing of seasons. You can find delight in God gave you taste buds for tasty hot chocolate or cinnamon, whatever you want, or that God gave you eyes to see all the different colors and lights. You can find delight and still be in awe and wonder of God.
And if you still don't believe us, just stay home then. And don't ruin all of our fun.
Right. Have your fast in private.
Until December 26th. It's 7:21. We got to talk more Christmas here in a couple of minutes. Plus, don't forget, we do have our friend Rob Fenn from the Social Security Administration. He is going to answer your Social Security questions. Why? Because none of it makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And so text us your questions, for goodness sakes, 440-546-2255.
with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Christmas music. We've got some of that coming on Thursday for Christmas with Rebecca St. James. And I know some of you, your favorite part of the warm-up for the show has been my singing.
Mm-hmm. I have enjoyed it quite a bit.
Thank you. It was some of your best work, I think, ever in creating a little commercial.
Yeah.
Was the greatest hits, really, of my Christmas singing.
Yeah, it was.
We got complaints, didn't we?
Just one.
One person, what were they mad about?
They said, it was a Saturday, and they called in and said, we're listening right now, and we have heard Brian singing so much. Please stop this promotion.
La la la, la 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 la. Okay, Scrooge. I didn't claim to be great, and I wasn't trying hard. I was like, it was part of the shtick, you know? I was doing it bad on purpose.
Do people call in to, I don't know, Disney Channel when they play the same commercials 75 times over and over? No, they don't.
Yeah.
So.
But I will say that, I mean, I can't promise, but I don't think that Rebecca St. James will invite me up to do a duet.
Yeah. You never know.
Well, you are going to have time on stage with her right before the intermission. Maybe you could start it.
I'll be like, all right, Rebecca.
All right, let's go again.
Baby, it's cold outside. Let's hit it.
Man.
What? Man. I know everybody hates that song now, right?
Yeah, and that's just like not the song you should have chose for your
What?
example.
It's a duet.
Right.
I'm trying to think of a duet.
Because the words are awkward to be singing with somebody who is not your spouse.
I'm thinking of a duet, okay?
Yeah.
So what other Christmas duet is there?
I always
Plenty.
think of that one as the roofie song. What's in this drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So give me another duet for us to do together. We could do
Bing Crosby
Yeah.
and David Bowie did Little
that's
Drummer
not what I
Boy.
was thinking.
What a horrible duet idea. Whose idea was that?
Probably Bing's.
Bing Crosby and David Bowie. Yeah, I would reject that idea.
I'm sure there's plenty of other songs.
We could just make it a duet. Like, Rebecca, I'll start. We wish you a Merry
White
Christmas.
doesn't, in the actual movie, the ladies
And a Happy New Year.
sing, so you could do that.
Well, Lauren, we could try it with this one.
I'm not singing with you.
Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Take it, Lauren.
No, thank you.
We can't even practice?
No.
You
I'm not
sing.
practicing for anything. I did find my old yearbooks the other day, and I found pictures of me and they're singing. So embarrassing.
Oh, nice.
How dare they put those in there?
Lauren, so you do sing.
Formally.
Wish me a Merry Christmas in song. Go.
No, choral singing is
jazz.
different than being a soloist.
This is choral. Jazz hands. Come on. This is
Just move on. I'm not
Okay,
going to
fine.
sing for you.
But all I'd say, I don't think I'm the warm-up act, but I can't make any promises. I don't know that I'll be
you'll be
doing
up
a
there
duet.
first, if that's,
Yeah, and people might start chanting, sing, 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 sing.
I doubt that.
I'm gonna have to sit at the piano at home and see if I can come up with which one of those songs I could do, so I could sit down and
Yeah, you should be prepared.
be ready.
Because
Okay.
a thousand
what if she
voices
asks?
crying out, sing, sing.
I can't say
sing."
no to that.
Yeah.
And-
How would you?
I mean, at a Christmas event at the same church, Grace Church in Middleburg Heights, just a few years ago, Ron. Do you remember what happened?
You did the moonwalk.
Maybe you'll do it again.
And it was impressive, Lauren. I know you doubt that.
I just said maybe you'll do it again.
No one's going to ask for that. They've seen it there.
Oh.
They don't need to see it again. They know I'm good at it. Okay. Rebecca St. James, she's coming to town Thursday. This Thursday, Christmas with Rebecca St. James. 6 p.m., Grace Church, Middleburg Heights. There's a few seats left. Would love to have you join us. It's not too late. Text concert to 440-546-2255, 440-546-2255, and we'll see you there. Coming up in a few minutes, David Mullane from Yost Insurance. It has a couple of Medicare updates for you. There's some real big news about things that are covered and things that are not in Medicare. And we may have time to squeeze in some of your Medicare questions. So if you have them, you can text them in, 440-546-2255.
This is FEBC.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Medicare. People have questions about it because it's another one of those things that just doesn't make much sense, if you ask me. So we bring in our good friend to talk about it. This is WCRF, Mornings with Brian, where it is 7:37, and David Mullane is here, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Medicare at Yost Insurance Agency. Welcome back, David.
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you doing today?
Better now that you're here, David.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say that. I really appreciate that on this cold Northeast Ohio morning.
Of course. Is it bad? You're down in the Canton area, aren't you? Canfield.
I'm in the Canfield area, yeah, the Youngstown region, so we get about the same weather as you, but we don't get that lake effect snow. We miss it.
Yeah, boy, spoiled out there. Okay, so we got to talk little Medicare here. One of them is red alert, the annual enrollment period's about to end, yeah?
It is. You know, and a few weeks ago, you guys had a pretty heated debate on the radio about when we should start playing Christmas music, right?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Lauren has some very strict rules on this.
I personally
I was
think
not here
just
for that
because
conversation.
I think we should wait till after the Medicare annual enrollment period.
No fun until that's finished?
That's right. That way agents like me and all my friends and all the people that are on Medicare can actually enjoy it on December 8th. So that's my suggestion.
And December 7th is the final day. Now, if somebody wanted an appointment now, I'd imagine it's hard to get one at this point, right?
It is really tight this week, honestly, but if there's somebody that still needs help, we'll definitely try to get them with an agent. It might not be me or even one of the people that work in our direct office, but we have a whole team of agents all across the state of Ohio. But a lot of people do wait for the last minute, as we all know too well. And it does make it tough because we are really getting full for the next few days here.
But for those who like to wait till the last minute and you need to make changes to or sign up for Medicare or whatever, welcome to the last minute. The sign up conclusion is on the 7th. It's this weekend. So get going.
Hour.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the hour is definitely upon us. You have pretty much until midnight on Saturday to make changes, to pick a different Advantage plan or to change your prescription drug plan. And after that, it's pretty hard to do that in a lot of cases for the rest of the year. So really important few days here as we lead up to Saturday.
Now, about a month ago, we heard from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services about the 2025 premiums, deductibles, coinsurance amounts, all that stuff, right? So there's some big changes there. Can you take us through some big ones?
Yeah, it's better than we were afraid with inflation and all that's kind of gone on economically the last 12 months. We didn't really know what to expect. And this year, they really waited longer than they did last year to announce these premiums. And that was a little surprising. We never really know when they're going to release the information. Sometimes it's in the middle of September. And sometimes, like this year, it was after the election. But what we see is an increase. We're going to be at $257 for the Part B deductible starting in 2025. And that's not a huge increase. This year it was in the 240s. So $257, and that deductible is going to be really important to those people that have original Medicare and a Medicare supplement plan like Plan G or Plan N. Those people pay that Part B deductible before that plan covers much of their out-of-pocket costs for medical care. So not a huge increase, but it definitely wasn't a decrease. And then with that, and I think the one, Brian, that a lot of people forget to look at, take a look at the table. If you're on Medicare and you have higher income, so if you file individually or if you're married and you file jointly and you have a higher income, you are subject to these modified, income-related monthly adjustment amounts to your Part B premium and Part D premium, and that entire table was affected with increases this year. Again, not huge increases, but something that you're going to want to be aware of as a consumer.
So if you have more income, as in if you make more, you're going to have to pay more for Medicare.
That's exactly right. So the way that they decide those income-related monthly adjustment amounts is they do a 2-year look back on your tax filings. And what they're really looking at is modified adjusted gross income. That's going to be on your 1040 form, line 11. And then any tax-exempt interest from line 2A. Those are the two numbers they're looking at in making your income determination. And they look 2 years prior. So for 2025, they're going to be looking at your 2023 tax filings to determine where you're placed on that table.
Now, somebody might say, that's not fair, and I'm not certain how familiar you are with the rationale for it, but what is the rationale for the higher income paying more in premiums?
You know, it's actually been explained to me so many different ways that I'm not sure what the correct rationale is.
Things happen like that.
I've heard it once said that the highest premium is the actual premium, and then they're rolling off premium as you go down in those income brackets. But certainly the notion is if you make more, you are paying more. And one thing that I will say is if you had a one-time monetary increase, maybe you were subject to an estate or an inheritance, or like a lot of people in Northeast Ohio, you got mineral and gas rights out of nowhere. So you were a farmer who on taxes was showing $20,000, and then 1 year you got an oil and gas check for $1.5 million. You're going to get a one-time increase, and the government does give you a way to appeal that, knowing that maybe you're losing income because you left a job or your circumstances were temporary. So there is fairness built in from that regard that as your income does decrease, so does your premium.
Well, and that's where this came from originally, right? Was to ensure that those citizens, as they get older, are not destitute, that they're cared for.
100% correct. Yeah. And, you know, the important thing to keep in mind with original Medicare is it was never, ever designed to be your exclusive and independent healthcare coverage in retirement. And that's why we have all these different plan options that, as you said at the top of our time together, creates a lot of confusion. And that's why people like us are here to help you sort that out.
Now, we're going to have to talk offline about, I'd like some of that oil and gas rights money. I don't know how I get that. I have 5.5 acres. I feel like there's got to be something in there, but
Hey,
we'll have to
might.
work on that, okay?
Absolutely. Let's talk about that.
Okay, good. I'll work on that. And Lauren, you can't have any. It's all mine. And, you know, there's actually some coverage changes and some negotiations going on in contracts with some major medical carriers and hospital groups. We're going to have to get to that here with our friend David Mullane here in just a minute. Again, he's from Yost Insurance, answering your Medicare questions if you have them and going over some big Medicare news, as this weekend is the 7th, as a matter of fact, is the final day for signing up for Medicare and for filing any changes you'd have for it. Okay, that's the deadline. 7:44 now, 440-546-2255. Merry Christmas from all of us here at WCRF, Moody Radio Cleveland. If you're just tuning in, we're having a talk with our friend David Mullane. He is from Yost Insurance Agency, where he's Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Medicare, talking about how important it is to know that the annual enrollment period concludes this weekend, December 7th. For Medicare, we've been going over some big changes that actually weren't that big in terms of premiums and such. They went up, but not too much. Now, there's some major negotiations going on that are making folks a little nervous. Can you give us some of that information?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. It's probably one of my least favorite things about the Medicare market. And these contract negotiations specifically impact those that have Medicare Advantage plans. So sometimes our clients get confused. If you have a Medicare supplement plan from an insurance company who's engaged in contract negotiations with a hospital, that really doesn't impact you because those Medicare supplement plans are just supplementing, right? That's the key word, your original Medicare coverage. So when you have a supplement plan, your insurance is provided through the government, Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. So you can pretty much go to any doctor in the country that accepts original Medicare, which is almost everybody. These negotiations are specific to Medicare Advantage plans, and we've seen it happen a lot here in Northeast Ohio. A few years ago, we had a big negotiation with Cleveland Clinic and one of the carriers. Last fall, in the Youngstown market, it was Mercy Health Systems and Anthem. And right now, there's two major hospital networks that are negotiating with Anthem, and clients are getting letters. They're getting letters from both the carrier, Anthem Blue Cross, and the hospitals, in this case, Ohio State University's health systems. So like the Wexner Medical Center or the James Cancer Institute. More locally here, towards your station's location, Summa Health Systems or Summa Healthcare. So they're in negotiations with Anthem. And if you're a client who has Medicare Advantage, you are likely receiving letters from both of those entities telling you that if they don't get an agreement settled, effective January 1, that institution would no longer be in network on your plan, which would mean you would have to get coverage and care elsewhere. So it does create a sense of panic in people.
I bet it does, because that's a big deal, especially if you have medical issues and medications. That'd be a nightmare having to redo all that.
Yeah, it really is. And it's unfortunate, but it's just part of the way that this industry works, right? Because the carriers have contracts, they negotiate rates, and the hospitals and those health systems have to agree. So it's a back and forth, just like any negotiation. And typically they end up being settled, but it does look like, at least in the case of Anthem and the Ohio State University systems, that might not happen. So those individuals might have to get on a different plan that includes the hospital of their choice, which again, they would have until December 7th to do, or maybe get their care at a different provider or different hospital.
Now, knowing this has happened before, I know you can't make any promises, but am I right in guessing that usually they reach an agreement?
They very typically do. In Youngstown's case with Mercy last fall, the agreement was literally reached the last day possible. So it really does leave people out there as they're working through this. And what I would tell people, Brian, is just don't panic. This time of year is kind of the best time of year for this to be happening due to the annual enrollment period. I actually wish that the government would make all of these contract negotiations have to be completed prior to the start of the annual enrollment period, like maybe in September would be the month. Then those patients and those clients would have the ability to shop plans for the entire annual enrollment period. But for these folks caught up in these current negotiations with Anthem and Ohio State or Summa Health, also keep in mind this time of year that in January, this isn't something we can market, it's not advertised, but there's something called the open enrollment period. And what that period does is it allows those that have Medicare Advantage plans to make a one-time plan change from January through the end of March. So if you're caught up in these negotiation letters right now, I wouldn't say you should panic because you can either change your plan by this Saturday, December 7th, or in January, if your hospital falls off network, you have that one-time opportunity through the open enrollment period to make a plan change for Medicare Advantage.
So are these letters sent by the hospital and the insurance company, are they a legal requirement or a negotiation tactic where they're just trying to scare consumers into helping their cause?
I think it's more a requirement to give due notice that, hey, we may no longer be together, and to give people time to process that and to maybe make choices that they have to make. And I don't think I think it hurts the carriers more than anything, because people do panic and they do jump off and change to a different carrier. And then maybe that agreement gets settled, and now the carrier who's in that negotiation has lost hundreds, if not thousands of members from their plan.
Okay. Well, we do have a question on the line here. Let's go to Laura. Hey, Laura, what's your question for David Mullane of Yost Insurance?
My question is, my mom is in a long-term care facility and she is on Medicaid. My father is currently in independent living. My sister and I have just taken over their care, and I have no idea what they have or what we need to do. If we don't want to make any changes this year, can we just let everything go, or is there something we have to do?
That's a great question, David. I bet you get that all the time.
We do. And especially, for someone in their situation where you're stepping in now to care for loved ones, maybe you can't even find their current cards or any current plan information. It can be really, really difficult. So, first of all, my heart goes out to you, just being in that situation myself with my own mom. I know what that's like. And to answer that question, all plans that you have with Medicare will continue into the new year if you do not make any changes. The one caveat, and something that I think that caller should definitely look into, is making sure that those monthly premiums have been paid and are continued to be paid, because that's where we see people lose coverage. Is if someone loses track, maybe an elderly parent loses track of the payments, and then that plan falls off and no one realizes it until it's a major problem.
I suppose it's why it's so important to have medical power of attorney as your parents age, right? So that those things can be easily cared for.
Yeah, it really is. And it's really an important piece of the retirement planning side of the work that we do at our agency. No matter how old you are, if you have family, you really want to have a plan for what happens if something happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose the ability to make decisions, even just with you and a spouse, making sure that spouse knows how to handle things that you always handle, and that they know how to access all the passwords and all the accounts and all the life insurance. Super important part of the life planning process that we help people with throughout the year.
It's great stuff. Again, our guest has been David Mullane, Dr. David Mullane, by the way, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Medicare with Yost Insurance Agency. Some real important updates with Medicare today. Thanks for your expertise and your friendship with the show. If you want to reach David or Yost Insurance, the best place to go is just come to us. Send us a text, and we would love to, or call, and we'd love to connect you with their agency. David, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Brian. God bless, and Merry Christmas to the team and to all of our great Moody Radio listeners.
You too, brother.
Thanks.
All right, it's 7:58, and let me just add at the end of that, was so important for those of you reaching retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
Many of you are doing an excellent job. Like, I just love how my parents do it. My parents, anytime they go on vacation, they send an email, and it's like, hey, here's where the will is. Here's where this is. Like, they don't want us to be stressed. My dad's even like, here's my military discharge papers so you can bury me. Like, they don't want us to worry. Mm-hmm. There's people out there being all weird about their estate.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it. You don't have to tell people what's in the will.
Right.
You don't have to make it weird. You don't have, but somebody's got to be the executor, and don't make it a surprise. I have friends who their parents were worried about the relationship issues, so they didn't tell the other kids who the executor was because it wasn't the oldest kid. And that caused a problem because nobody knew.
Right. And then all of a sudden it's sprung on them. And the one who's now the executor had no idea it was coming, and suddenly has all this burden of responsibility that maybe they didn't want.
I have another friend who their parents did not set up the proper power of attorney, where they helped with finances, but never had official access to their finances. And when the parent was debilitated by a stroke, there was nothing they could do.
Oh, no.
So I'm telling you, if you're reaching that age, or even if you're not, get your act together. Don't let your family fall apart because you're going to get weird about your end-of-life plan. Have a very clear plan and tell everybody where everything is and everybody whose job things are. And by the way, unless your kid's weird, they don't want to be the executor. It's not a fun job.
No.
My parents have said my brother is, and I'm happy about it because it's a headache.
Yes.
So would you please do that? Do it now. Reach out to your attorney, make an appointment. If you don't have one, go find one. Get that stuff cared for so you don't destroy your family because of your weirdness about your estate. Okay. Soapbox set aside. I'm off of it, even though I never really stand up at all. I'm just sitting. It's 8 o'clock. It's time for Ron's News and today's Moron Moment. But in a few minutes, we have our friend Robert Fenn from the Social Security Administration ready to answer your Social Security questions. We know you have them because we hang out with Rob, and we still don't know what's going on with Social Security. So we know you have questions. Call or text right now, 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President-elect Trump is tabbing investment banker Warren Stevens as U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom. It's 8:01. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Trump said in a statement that Stevens has always dreamed of serving the U.S. full-time, calling him one of the most successful businessmen in the country. Stevens served as president, chair, and CEO of his company, Stevens Inc., for 38 years. New numbers from the November election are out, and it's more disappointing news for Democrats in Ohio. Voter turnout was down across the state, especially among Ohio's largest Democratic counties. And a statewide initiative is set up to help lower-income Ohioans who are struggling with heating costs during the winter. The HEAP Winter Crisis Program provides one-time payments to cover emergency energy bills for individuals and families who are in danger of having their utility service disconnected. Households that are making no more than 175% of the federal poverty level are able to qualify. I'll have sports and weather in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Mark Jobe, president of the Moody Bible Institute. On Bold Steps, my goal is to take you on a path of authenticity in Christ. I've been a pastor for decades in the city of Chicago, and my desire is to bring Bible teaching that is clear, practical, and that pushes people to take bold steps in their walk with God. You can hear Bold Steps weekdays at noon and Sundays at 7 p.m. here on Moody Radio Cleveland.
In sports, the Browns fell to the Broncos in a shootout, 41-32 on Monday Night Football. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny this morning, then becoming mostly cloudy. There is a chance for even more snow in the snow belt, so fire up those snowblowers. Highs might reach the lower 30s today. And at last check, we were looking at cloudy skies in the Cleveland area and now 25 degrees. Akron and Canton, cloudy and 23. Skies are clear in Lorain and Elyria, where it's 23 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
Every year on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, people take the time to kick off the holiday season by giving back to their favorite charities. Whether it is donating money to a cause or volunteering, Giving Tuesday is a day set to benefit the community. If you want to take part by supporting this radio station with a gift, just go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and click the green donate button. And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron.
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:05. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
It's time to get your Social Security questions answered. It's 8:09 WCRF Mornings with Brian. Don't forget the concert is Thursday, Christmas with Rebecca St. James. Text concert to us to get your tickets.
If you want to have a good Chrissy, you better go see Rebecca St. James.
That's exactly right. She's from Australia. Crikey.
Yeah.
But anyway, text concert to 440-546-2255. All right, it's time. He's too legit to quit. He's a dancer. He's baby girl. Robert Fenn from the Social Security Administration. Welcome back.
Good morning. How are you doing, my brothers?
I'm so glad that you're here, man. People have so many questions. Yeah, and hello, there's a sister here. Excuse me.
Excuse me?
Yes. step up. You got to speak up for yourself sometimes when Brian's around. If you don't get your voice heard, you better say something.
You think Laura needs to speak up for herself? I think it's the last thing she needs to do.
I need to give her that encouragement at least.
That's true.
Yeah. But Ron, tell me, who was that last artist?
Ryan Ellis.
Brian or Ryan?
Ryan, Ryan.
Right.
That was a pretty good song, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like that song. I'm the guy that is, y'all, Christmas songs already. I haven't gotten myself in that festivity, but that song, I like it. I like that.
I was picturing you at home dancing to that one. That's what I was picturing.
No need to do that. It's too early.
All right. Well, we got lots of Social Security questions coming in. I don't mean to be rude, but it doesn't make much sense. So that's why you're here to help us understand it. So, hey, your questions, call or text. What?
Are you being reluctant?
No.
No.
440-546-2255. Hit it, Lauren Cuevas.
Per social media rumors, the next administration is going to be doing away with Social Security. Is that true?
The word rumors helped everything in that question. So I'll address it professionally. There is nothing that is being said to Social Security as an administration, hey, you guys are gone, right? Now,
brush up on your resume, Robert Fenn.
Yes, exactly. Now, there's always has been in my, 20 plus years with the Social Security Administration, conversations on how a new administration is going to address Social Security, right? And then out of those conversations becomes these, in my opinion, some extreme rumors or comments being made because everyone has an opinion. So, no, we have not been told that there's some type of changes. Social Security is one of the most successful domestic programs we have here in the United States. There are over, I'll say this way, millions of individuals who are receiving this benefit. The vitality of it is there. How important it is there. There's no, I'm stepping a little bit my toe into the unforbidden water there. There's no politician who is going to say that their family members, their constituents, the states that they may represent, the counties, that is not affected, that has no impact of Social Security. So with that being said, yes, I, Robert Fenn, I am not in Congress. I am not running for president.
You should. I'd vote for you.
You're right. Right. I'm not in the hallways of those types of conversations. I just say to everyone, make sure you check your facts. When I say check your facts, some people would just go to a source that they like, and then they say, hey, my source said this. I would say continue to read our website, socialsecurity.gov, read sources that are unbiased, and then you can see that there are conversations, but there's nothing in regards to Social Security being removed, withdrawn, anything like that. You may have heard other conversations about how are they going to adjust certain things, but those are still conversations. I remember it's been several years now, and I think it was in France. They raised their full retirement age, and I think they raised it to 62, or was it to 70 at that time? Well, maybe even farther. Either way, they raised it. Those people went nuts, and people started sending messages to me, are they raising ours? And I said, no, that was them. That's how France. They ran their country.
Yep, this is America.
That's how France. Yeah, this is America. There's different things in which we use to our factoring. So, again, I'll just move on from that question. I appreciate the question, but Social Security is here, August 14, 1935, signed into law by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and it's here to stay. So thank you.
Thank you, Robert Fenn.
My husband's pension is railroad retirement. I'm 61, and he's 62. No, wait. Hold on. Disregard that. My husband's pension is railroad retirement. I can take Social Security. My question is, at 65, when I get half of his pension, will I be able to just drop the Social Security, or once you take it, do you have to keep it?
Got it. Understood. Now, let me make sure I address a couple of things in that question. It's still common for me to hear people say 65 as the full retirement age. And if you notice how she said it, she said the word half, and then she said 65. So I need to make sure I address that. Now, the law was changed, 83, 84, put in effect in 2000. So since 2000, 24 years later, it's still being addressed. The full retirement age for individuals is based upon the year that they're born. If you're born between 1943 to 1954, your full retirement age to get a full Social Security check that you're eligible for will be age 66. You're born in 1955, it's 66 in 2 months. 1956, 66 in 4 months. 2-month increments continue to increase each year after 1954. So up to 1960, if you're born 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. So let me address that half part again. In this example, the individual's turning 65. They are not at their full retirement age to see if they're eligible for that half. So I need to make sure I put that to the side. Now, if the individual does file for her Social Security spousal benefits, her husband has to be eligible for Social Security benefits. Hopefully, he has paid at least 10 years into Social Security. She mentioned the Railroad Board. So here's where the change would take place. If an individual has at least 5 years vested in the Railroad Board, the Railroad Board, are going to have jurisdiction. What does this mean to us common people? The benefits that he is paying in Social Security are going to be put together with his benefits in the railroad. Railroad will be the jurisdiction which she's going to contact to see what she's eligible for there. Her money dollar amount, that's not going to be affected. It's just who's going to be running it, who's going to make sure that she gets her notifications, and who does she contact. So when he files, then she'll be able to answer those questions, and then she'll be able to find out where's the higher check coming from. So that will be the answer I would give to her, is that railroad would have jurisdiction, and then they will decide where the money's coming from.
All righty.
How much and all that stuff.
It is 8:17, time for a quick break. We have our friend Robert Fenn from the Social Security Administration with us, answering your questions about Social Security. 440-546-2255.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Well, he works for the government, and he's here to help. Robert Fenn from the Social Security Administration, answering your Social Security questions, whatever they are. You've got lots of them. Call or text 440-546-2255. Are you ready, my friend, Robert?
I am. Yeah, I'm not Dave Yost. Thank you.
Yeah, you caught that? It's real quick there. I thought I could sneak past it, but I almost call you David. Sorry. Whatever your name is, you're
I'll
ready.
take the doctor for the moment. I'll take the doctor for 3 seconds.
That's
or,
right.
Or Esquire. Yeah.
Me too, brother. Me too.
Yes, but I'll take the questions. Yes, sir.
I'm a divorced woman, age 72, still working full-time. I started collecting Social Security at age 70. I'm paying off my mortgage and car payment before I retire. Due to income-related monthly adjustment amounts, in 2025, I will not only have deducted from my Social Security the $185 standard Medicare premium, but also a deduction for Medicare Part B and D. Now my monthly benefit for 2025 will be about $140 less per month. If I retire on December 31st of 2025, will I have to pay these extra deductions for a couple more years?
Well, I think if I heard her question correctly, I'm wondering if there's a little confusion in it. If she's referring to the fact that she has Medicare Part B deducted next year, and I believe Dr. Yost spoke on that, the Medicare Part B premium next year is going to go up for many individuals to $185. If she's referring to the Medicare Part D, there's a cost for that. That depends on the Medicare Advantage plans that she may have enrolled. If she's referring to the fact that she has a increase, or what we call the IRMA, which Dr. Yost was referring to, that amount does change. That amount does change based upon her income. Now, what will happen is she would have to contact us, and then she can request an adjustment we call a life-changing event. There's a total of 7 or 8 of those. I think it's 7 or 8 of those life-changing events. Loss of income is one of them, in which she can contact Social Security. She can get a form. It's called an SSA 44. Complete that form to state that she's no longer working. She has that change of the income, and then we can see if it can be adjusted. Now, please forgive me. I wasn't certain. I had to handle some other work things before I got to listen to the rest of Dr. Yost's conversation. But if he addressed the IRMA, this is what we call it. It's called the Modified Adjusted Gross Income. That's the MAGI. And then there's the IRMA itself. That part is actually what people don't know, is that the government actually pays a higher amount, and then the individual pays a different amount. It's subsidized. So the higher your income, then you're going to pay for some of that Medicare premium. So if her income is being lowered, then we at Social Security, we have a form which she can complete again to have that paid for. So she just needs to contact us. We'll complete it, and she can take care of that. She can call 1-800-772-1213, 1-800-772-1213 to request that, and we can go from there.
Now, she was talking about that life change happening in a year, basically. So when's the right time to contact Social Security, knowing that would happen in a year?
Yeah, she can do that now.
Oh, now, okay.
She can contact us now, and then we can go from there.
You guys are so nice.
Yeah, listen, that's true. But we've had individuals who've contacted us in October of the year that it's still going on. So they're like, oh, I didn't know that I could do this. We still can have that adjusted. Now, it does make it a little bit sticky in terms of going back, and we have to adjust all those single months, but it still can be done.
Okay, well, friend listening, you can call now. Look at that.
Simple.
Okay. My wife began Social Security after full retirement age. I have waited until 70, which will be in March. When do I sign up, and how do we switch my wife to spousal?
So when he applies, and I think he said the March.
Mm-hmm.
So when he applies, then she's eligible. And to make sure for the rest of the listening audience, you have a couple, a married couple, and one is already receiving a benefit, and this other person who's receiving the benefit, it's possible that her amount is lower than the amount that she could receive as a spouse. So she decided to file, get her Social Security payments going. Now this gentleman, he decided to continue to work. And so now that he's continuing to work, he said now it's time in March, he's going to file. When you're currently married, you have to wait till the other person files. So when he makes his appointment, 1-800-772-1213, he makes that appointment. Then we're going to talk to him. And one of the questions we're going to ask is, sir, are you married? And he's going to say, I am so proudly married. Yeah. He's going to do
She's
all
lovely,
that.
as a matter of fact.
Yes, she's lovely, and because she's going to be right there on the other side of that phone looking. You better no. But he's going to say that, and then we'll say, okay, sir, what is her name, Social Security number, if he knows that, if she was not next to him. But what would happen is they will complete his application. We will look at something called a primary insurance amount, which means what is the amount he could receive at his full retirement age. We'll look at that amount. Then we will look at her primary insurance amount, not the monthly amount that she gets in direct deposit into her account. I need to make sure that's clear for everyone who's listening to us. Many people will say, well, my check that I get each month is X amount of dollars, and that dollar amount is less than half than what my spouse can get. And we say, no, that's not what we're looking at, because some people could have taken their Social Security checks prior to age 66. Prior to their full retirement age. And so they look at that amount that has been lowered because they took it before 66, and they think that's what we're looking at. We are looking at the amount you could have received at your full retirement age. In my example, again, is 66. So whatever you could have gotten at 66 and what your spouse could have gotten at 66, that's what we're looking at. And if we see that your amount, in this case here for the lady, is less than half, then after we complete his application, then we'll say, sir, can we speak to her? And he'll say, oh, yeah, she's right here. Let me hand the phone off to her. She'll take it. It's about time. That's my spouse who's waiting for more money voice. It's about time. Give me my increase. So
that's good.
Then we'll take the application for her, and then we will give her the increase. But again, it's not until he completes his appointment. Now, he said that March is the month. So technically, starting in January.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do this. I was going to ask you to do it because Lauren and I were looking at each other like, there's this weird math problem. You carry the
30 days has September,
April, June, and November. Apply for Social Security 62 days before you. What?
60 plus 5.
Yeah, that means you're getting it. You're getting it. Good.
Not really.
No, I don't get it at all.
Yeah, well, probably in February, I would say we will be able to see our calendars for March. So they can contact us in February, set up that appointment.
Wait, what?
And what?
I thought he's supposed to apply. His birthday's in March. He turned 70 in March, so he should apply like yesterday or something, right?
No, because the calendars aren't that far out for him to be able to do that. So if he were to contact us right now in terms of filing for his benefits, we would prefer so he can see that calendar and pick a proper date, March 1st through the 31st. So
okay.
Toward end of January or February, we'll be able to see that calendar in March. Many times people call us, I need to call 6 months ahead. We can't even see the calendar. It doesn't work that way.
Oh.
So no, that would be the proper.
So like a month ahead of time.
To set an appointment. A month and a half, or so. But yes.
See.
Isn't there something about
just make it plain?
Yeah, but there's like you get the check, but it's the if it's the
plain.
half the month, you get it the next day.
Yes, Brian, exactly.
That's a whole different conversation. That's a different conversation.
What?
Right now, all we're talking about is how do I make an appointment? If
okay.
you go to your doctor's office, you see, right. All we're talking about is make an appointment, and I heard his month, which was March, and I know the calendar, and that's when he can do that. Again, like if you call your doctor's office, you're not always going to get that appointment that same day. It's going to be projected, and so that's the same thing. There's a time frame in which we will be able to see the calendar and we can take care of it. Don't make it more complicated. Come on, good people.
I thought you did that.
That's not what we're doing.
Yeah, the government.
That's not what we're doing.
It's 8:31. Time for a break here. We got more time for your questions, though, about Social Security for Robert Fenn of the Social Security Administration. We love the guy. He's a friend of the show, a longtime listener, federal employee, great dancer. I mean, all the things, okay?
Sometime roller skater.
Yes. 440-546-2255. President of the TLC fan club, I believe. 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
This is Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF. Don't forget to text CONCERT to 440-546-2255. Get your tickets before it's too late for Christmas with Rebecca St. James. The team will be there. We'll love to see you. It's this Thursday at Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. Lots of fun. I don't know if Rob will be there, but he sure is here to answer your Social Security questions. Robert Fenn, he's a public affairs specialist from the Social Security Administration. Do you get a badge? I've asked you this, but I forgot.
I do not get a badge. I just have a name tag, which I probably don't wear most of the time.
I object that you don't get a badge. You should get a badge.
What would a badge do, Brian? I'm not sure.
You could show it to people.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Robert Fenn, Social Security Administration.
Yeah, and everybody will look at it and whatever. Like my 5-year-old has one. Show him, Sonny.
I just want a badge. That's why. But okay, we have like a couple of questions coming in. We got more time for yours. 440-546-2255.
My husband and I were recently looking at the Social Security website to see what our anticipated payouts would be when we retire. We were surprised to see that his benefit amount is significantly lower than mine, even though my 40 quarters of earnings are significantly lower than his. Do you know why this would be?
Mm-hmm. Now, she said her 40 quarters, and so I'm going to assume she's talking about the dollar amount she's made each year versus his. So I would encourage the individuals to, when they open the My Social Security account, they should have been able to see each individual year in which her husband worked, and she will be able to see each individual year she worked. She wants to look at, in this case, he has to look at it to see, are those amounts correct? Individual has to have at least 10 years of work paying into Social Security. We're going to use the top 35 years over their lifetime. So she wants to look at the top years on that Social Security statement. I don't know if all of those years are accurate, but at the same time, not to say this directly to that individual, it's not uncommon for me to hear people say, oh, this is what I received, all right? Because one part, people look at if they're self-employed, they may look at the earnings before, because self-employment, we have to look at the net amounts, at their expenditures, what have you. I don't know if they've looked at their salaries and if they're actually correct on there. Maybe there was some money that was not put onto their Social Security statement, because Social Security, we receive that information from IRS. So it's our template. We put the little pretty face on it, Social Security information, these are the years you work, what have you, but we receive that information from IRS. If the information is incorrect in terms of those years, the easiest thing is for them to get the W-2 from IRS, or if they already have it, they can make a copy of that or send it to Social Security and we can have those inputted. If the company is no longer around, we will have to have a further conversation at the time of filing for the Social Security retirement benefits. So right now, go back over the My Social Security statement, look at each one of the years, make sure that they're accurate compared to the dollar amounts that are on that W-2. And then when it's time to file, we can see if we need to address that. If it's, maybe the couple is only in their 50s and they're not eligible to file for retirement benefits yet, they can contact us. I would suggest an appointment, 1-800-772-1213, and then we can be able to obtain those W-2s to add them to their Social Security earnings records.
All right, 440-546-2255. We'll jump now to the phones. We've got Carol on the line. Hey, Carol, what's your question for Robert Fenn?
My husband died 5 months ago, and they stopped his Social Security. And I was told by Social Security that I would eventually get the money. It might take 60 days. I never got the money. And then I heard that unless you're alive at 11:59 on the last day of any given month and you die, you lose the whole Social Security check. Which is correct?
Mm-hmm. Both of them. Let me make sure I address that. I'm sorry for your loss, ma'am. Thank you for calling in. Our continued prayers to you and your family. I will say this, is that yes, the individual, a person must live throughout the month to receive the benefit the next month. And so that's probably why that person said 11:59, because you have to be into the next day. Now, I'm not certain what happened in terms of the conversation. I was not there as far as, 2 months later, it'll all be screened out. Normally, the Social Security employees I'm accustomed to them saying that type of phrase if they know that the system has to calculate how much you're receiving on your own to determine how much you're going to receive as a spouse or as a widow. And so it's making that switch. And that switch can officially take up to 60 days, 30 days for them to figure out was any check sent out that shouldn't have been sent out. And then the next time frame, that's when you'll get a letter sent out to you. That's why they're counting 60 days this month, and then the next month, so they just say 60 days is just standard verbiage. And then so the next month, in this case here, the second month, is when that notification will be sent out. Now, if your check itself has increased, that lets me know that the system went from 1 month to the next, it changed it, and it also was sent a notification to you, the house, and a notification to the bank saying that if any money went out to you or to the bank, it had to be returned so that way they can pay you the new amount. I say don't send any money back. Let the bank have that communication with Social Security or U.S. Treasury, and that money will be sent back. So, again, if the individual did not live throughout the full month, they are correct that Social Security check would not be due the next month. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks, Robert. Again, that's Robert Fenn of the Social Security Administration answering your Social Security questions. Got a few minutes left to get to those. It's 8:46 on Moody Radio.
This is Wayne Shepherd.
Master of Divinity from Moody Theological Seminary. New for fall of 2025. Earn the same world-class degree in a shorter amount of time. We've reduced credit hours to earn a degree while maintaining the quality and course content essential for effective ministry. Need flexibility? Take classes online or on our Chicago or Michigan campuses. Even interchange between all options on a class-by-class basis. Get started at moody.edu/MDiv.
Pour another cup of coffee and settle in for engaging, Christ-centered conversations. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Robert Fenn with us again at the Social Security Administration answering your Social Security questions, 440-546-2255. That's also the number to text in the word concert to get your tickets, the final remaining tickets to see Christmas with Rebecca St. James this Thursday, Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. All right, Lauren, what's the next question?
I've heard a spouse who never worked can be eligible for 50% of their spouse's Social Security. My spouse recently retired, and 50% of his benefit is more than I am eligible for based on my own record. Can my benefit be increased?
There you go. I think I like everything the way that was worded.
Yeah, now, I think you do.
Yes. And then the last part of it, she said, can it be increased? She threw a little curveball at the last part. Increase means it's a comparative statement compared to what she's receiving is what I'm thinking she's saying.
Yes.
And then I'll address it if she's not saying that. But if she's saying, I'm currently receiving a benefit, and her example is similar to what I said just a moment ago, we're going to look at her full benefit amount, not what she's getting each month. So if her full benefit amount, which she could have received if she waited till her full retirement age, if that number is less than half of what her husband could receive, half of his amount. So let's say his full amount is $1,000, half of that's $500, and her Social Security check at her full retirement age would have been $400. $400 is less than $500. And let's say her monthly check she's getting is $300 though. So we're going to look at the $400 amount. It's less than $500. And then we're going to increase her $300 some dollar check to an extra $50, an extra, $70, whatever it may be. The answer is yes. When he files, then she can look to receive that increase. But I just need to make sure I continue to push this to the public and everybody's listening. Many times people continue to think that they look at their direct deposit amount and they say, well, since this amount is less than half, I'm going to get that increase. Or it's always going to be half. It's not half if you're taking it before your full retirement age. It's around, if you take it at your Social Security check at 62, you get around 37.5%. If the longer you wait, 63, and then it's around 40%. All the way up to 66, then that's when we can get to 50%. So half amount is only if you're at your full retirement age, and we have to compare what you could have received at your full retirement age versus what the other person could have received at their full retirement age. So, yes, contact us, 1-800-772-1213, and we can see if we can make that switch for her. Good question. That means that the person was listening. I like the words that they were using. So thank you out there. Merry Christmas.
And then make a note when you go to your appointment, bring your calculator.
Apparently.
Yes, Rob, that's what you should
do. It was not that difficult. Yes. I guarantee she got it. Well, I bet not guarantee it. I don't know.
Lauren and I didn't, so that's good.
500 and then 400 and then 300 plus 50.
Times pi and the square root of the hypotenuse.
Pi.
Exactly. Yes. See, now you're getting it.
Okay, Lauren, we got to go to the phones. Let's go to John. John, what's your question for Robert Fenn?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, I would like to know, I worked for the city of Cleveland municipal government for 32 years, and I guess they've been trying over 50 years to get it's called an offset, since we didn't pay into Social Security, that we're trying to get the Social Security that we're supposed to get, I guess. Are you familiar with that?
I believe you may be referring to, because if you're saying, let me make sure the rest of the people, John, let me pull the rest of the people in with us. The individual is asking me a question because they pay into another system. He said the city, so that immediately lets me think he's talking about Ohio Public Employees Retirement System. And he's asking me, he used the word offset, which I'm going to remove from our conversation and replace with the word windfall elimination provision. There is a government pension offset, that's for spouses, and there's a windfall elimination provision, which changes the calculation of the Social Security benefit. So the question is, am I familiar with that? The answer is yes, sir. Are you asking me whether or not that's in place now? I just want to make sure I answer what you want me to answer.
John, is that what you're looking for?
I was supposed to get like 600 or something like that, and then now it's only like 300 because of the time I worked before the city.
There you go. Yeah, it sounds like the windfall applied. Now, let me make sure I explain it to you and to the other listeners that the windfall says, have the individual least paid into Social Security. John has stated, yes, he's paid into Social Security. He had at least 10 years. Then Social Security has to go back over each individual year to see if they're substantial or not. In this case here, John, you paid into the city. I don't know if that's the majority of your year's work, but if it is, then the windfall elimination provision is going to come into place because they're saying that this individual is eligible for a pension outside of Social Security. So it's not as if there's no retirement benefit coming to them. It's just that it's coming through PRS. The individual has decided and elected to receive benefits in another system. So Social Security says, well, how do we pay everyone else? We pay everyone else on a weighted system. And that's something that I think that many people don't know. Benefits are actually weighted. The lower average yearly income of an individual, they may have a replacement rate higher versus someone who has a higher income. They get a lower replacement rate for their Social Security benefit. Now, I don't want to dig too deep in the weeds on this one, but yes, sir, that does sound common. You can contact us. If you already received a Social Security benefit, that means they've already done it, but you can still call us and say that, okay, well, how did this factor out? You can call 1-800-772-1213, and then we can show you how your Social Security benefit was affected by that. You can go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, type in the word windfall. There's a fact sheet, and you can see it yourself. And it breaks it down compared to the bend points. And I know it's a lot of other stuff that Brian and Lauren are just going to babble about, but It will break those things down, and it will show you how the pension that you receive has been lowered in terms of your Social Security, how the pension has lowered your Social Security check. And for the other listeners, to make sure I say this, no matter what Social Security pays you, if you're getting a PRS check, Social Security does not affect PRS. PRS can't affect Social Security. So I'm going to pause right there. Hopefully that at least answered what you were asking me. Did I do that, sir?
Yes.
All right. Excellent.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Shaq, take it away.
I am 70 and a half. If someone has a 429 exemption form for self-employment they filled out when they were young, does that disqualify you from collecting Social Security on the jobs where you did pay into Social Security?
They're saying they filled it out when they were young.
But but sometimes they've had jobs where they have paid into Social Security. So because they filled out the form, are they disqualified from where they paid in?
Okay. Well, I would say this. I don't know the full IRS tax implications on all that stuff. I will have to research that. But what I do know is that if an individual worked and they paid into Social Security through that employer, and that employer was taking Social Security taxes out, and we don't just have that letter on our side. It's not sitting on Robert Finn's table. I'm like, ooh, we got an alert, Batman, signals up. I know this individual didn't pay. And so immediately I won't allow that earnings to come to our record. It's not that way. So if we see it coming from IRS, we still will give them that calculation, and we will still be that person will still be able to file for benefits. Now, if they have elected to not have any Social Security taxes out, and we have something on our system, they could go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, or call the 1-800 number that I've been mentioning through this whole conversation, 1-800-772-1213, and we can look at the record. If there aren't any earnings posted on there, then it's simple. We don't have any record that they have paid in Social Security, so therefore they're not eligible for any benefits. If we still see that there's earnings posted, then they are eligible for those Social Security benefits. So I would say go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, G-O-V, open up a My Social Security account, review that, and so that way you can see if their earnings recorded, or call 1-800-772-1213.
Perfect moment to remind people that, Robert, if they're, let's just say, Lauren, how old are you, 31?
Yes.
They're 31. They could sign up for an account at socialsecurity.gov, right?
They can do that at this time. Why not? One of the festive things that you can do for yourself is opening a My Social Security account. And now, for the most part, individuals are able to open those accounts. Yes, there are individuals who aren't able to access the account.
Yeah, thank you so much for acknowledging that. Thank you for acknowledging that.
It sounds made up. I don't.
Who said that? Someone said something?
Thank you for acknowledging that.
I don't know who said that.
Hey, if I got to take the barrage up, it's not easy. It's hard, man. Hey, you can take it. You can take it. So they can go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, open a My Social Security account, review those earnings. If there's some individuals who aren't able to, because some people have a lock on their credit, or a variety of reasons, whatever it may be, they can call 1-800-772-1213, and we can try to assist them from there. But the first bet and the safest and the quickest way for them to find out about their earnings, go to socialsecurity.gov, open a My Social Security account, review it, make sure all those earnings are correct. Someone sent in that question. I thought it was excellent. The spouse was worried about her spouse not having the correct amount. It starts there. Check that out, socialsecurity.gov.
And I just got an email, Robert, because I signed up at socialsecurity.gov. It was from no-reply at ssa.gov telling me that my new statement's available.
That's right. It's like a little bit of an alarm clock saying, hey, you can come check it out. You know, we'd like to be visited too. Yeah.
You're not going to go look, Brian, so don't even act like that.
I am going to go look.
No, you're
now,
not.
just to spite you, I'm going to go look at it.
Exactly.
It's depressing. I have
4
22
cents.
years until I can actually collect, but whatever. All right. Robert Fenn has been our guest answering your Social Security questions. Robert, remind folks how to get more information if they need it.
Yes, you can call 1-800-772-1213, national number, or go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, open up a My Social account. There's a variety of questions and answers on our website that many people who had sent in today. You can find those answers there. Again, I wish you all the best, safe and happy holidays. And thank you, Lauren, Ron, and Brian, too, for today. So.
Sounds like
the
that
brothers.
hurt. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, Robert. We got to run. Tomorrow, though, we're going to have another show. Look at that.
Wow.
Just how Wednesdays work. And don't forget, get your tickets to see Rebecca St. James live, her Christmas concert at Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. It's on Thursday. Text concert to 440-546-2255.
Mornings